Being able to walk into a movie and let go of all the little details is an important skill for a movie watcher. Sometimes it doesn't matter if the science is right. It works for the story, and so a good audience can look past it. On the flip side of that, writers need to make a good faith attempt to explain their story, at least to a point where the audience understands what's happening. It might be easy to skip past explanations, but if your movie is too hard to follow or doesn't make any sense, people are going to turn it off. Hello and welcome to my channel. Here I review new movies and television shows, and try to release a new review every day from Monday to Friday. Today I'm going over Fantasy Football. It's directed by Anton Cropper, and written by Zoe Marshall, and Dan Gerwich, and David Young. It stars Marsai Martin, Omari Hardwick, and Rome Flynn. It's a coming-of-age story that bases itself on video game and football culture. The soundtrack and visuals are both professionally done, and the cast is giving it their all, but the story just isn't there to support it. The story is so full of holes I could use it to strain my spaghetti, and the characters are so bland they could serve as store-bought meatballs. To top it off, the movie's best joke is a mildly humorous sauce that drowns the dish. The film follows the life of Callie Coleman, the daughter of running back Bobby Coleman. She's forced to move from city to city her whole life due to her father getting traded between NFL teams repeatedly. When his career starts winding down and things look rough, Callie and her father both wish that things could be different. Then, during a heated exchange, lightning strikes both of them, and suddenly Callie can control her father's actions on the football field by playing his character on her game console. Armed with her wits and a copy of Madden, Callie sets out to fix her father's career and make this home permanent. Production-wise, the film is well done. Both the visuals and the soundtrack are professionally done with few to no flaws. Visually, the camera work is smooth and the shots center the characters well. There aren't any fancy shots or cool visual effects, but everything is well done. The soundtrack is of similar quality, with a few originals and a few hip-hop boilerplate tracks. It sounds good and it's used effectively. The tracks amplify the emotions and accompany the scenery well. The entire film has a hip-hop vibe, due in large part to the music. The cast does a solid job of their roles, and there's a lot of chemistry bouncing around inside this movie. The relationship between the Coleman family is a fun and loving dynamic. Anderson's ego and paranoia are silly, and the three leads do a solid job of the emotional work. Rome Flynn as Anderson is easily the most humorous part of the movie. His character is obnoxious and passive-aggressive, and Flynn does well with the emotions of the character. He looks seriously hurt when his ego is stubbed, and the way he chips at Bobby reminded me of more than a few hateable people I've met. It's a good performance. Omari Hardwick and Marsai Martin get the lion's share of the screen time, but still, neither is given a lot of time to explore the emotions within their character. The film is too busy jumping around between plot points. Martin and Hardwick both do a good job with what they're given and fit comfortably into the emotions. There's a lot of chemistry between them. Hardwick plays Bobby Coleman, a loving father and an idiot. He wants to understand and connect with his daughter, but when things start going his way, he gets distracted. Hardwick does well with the jokes and the emotions, but he isn't allowed to explore most of them, and is the butt of the joke for most of the movie. Marsai Martin as Callie Coleman is confident and helpful. She does well with what she's given, but her character is a total Mary Sue. Talking about Callie being a Mary Sue brings me to this movie's problem, the writing. It's exceptionally low quality, and the movie feels more like a collection of scenes someone wanted to make than a coherent story. It's humorous at best, and the emotions are flatter than a soda that's been sitting out overnight. Callie is never seriously challenged throughout the film, and none of her victories feel earned. She's just good at everything. Better than the adults around her, better than her peers, and we never see her practice or train at all. She's just better. Even her struggle is typical of Mary Sue's. She's helping too many people at once and needs to learn to balance her time better. The story tries to work around several different themes, and none of them is well done. The football and video game parts of the story don't make any sense. A player that bad wouldn't have a career that long, and the video game logic is so wrong I don't even know where to begin. The movie doesn't even try to make sense of it, and instead tries to skip the explanations. It abandons that storyline halfway through and mixes in another storyline in order to tell a message, but it doesn't flesh out either storyline by the end of the film. The message ends up falling flat on its face, and the movie ends in the most predictable of ways. The story just doesn't work on so many levels. There's no conflict or stakes. The story is illogical and requires an impossible level of faith. The characters are flat and one-dimensional, and the Hollywood ending is just the poopy cherry on top of the steaming pile. Fantasy Football seems like it was written by people who knew little about video games or football. The jokes are mildly humorous and repetitive, the story is a jumbled mess, the characters are boring, and the movie really doesn't have much else to offer. Nice work on the visuals, the soundtrack, and the acting, but why not spend some of that time and money fixing the story? 5 out of 10.